The council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive ring of metal and light orbiting the neutral world below. Inside, Ambassador Taewon Kim stood at the center of the circular room, surrounded by representatives from 40 different alien species. He wore the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, and his hands were steady despite the hostile eyes watching him. The treaty you present is unacceptable, Taewon said, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. You ask humanity to limit our expansion to 3 systems. You ask us to reduce our fleet to 1 of its current size. You ask us to share all our military technology with the Council. This is not membership, this is surrender. Hi. Arbiter Velthon, a being that looked like a cross between a mantis and a tree, clicked its mandibles together. The sound came out as words through the translation device. Your species has been in space for only 70 years. You have expanded to 12 systems. You have built warships at a rate that alarms the entire galaxy. We offer you safety and guidance. We offer you civilization. Taewon shook his head. You offer us chains. Humanity did not claw its way from caves to the stars to bow before those who got here first. We seek partnership, not servitude. The chamber erupted in angry sounds, chirps, growls, electronic pulses. Captain Minso Park watched from the observation gallery above, her hand resting on her sidearm. She commanded the escort ship Times Defiant Asterisk, currently docked at the station. She had 12 soldiers with her. The Council had thousands of security forces. Ambassador, this is not going well, she whispered into her communicator. I recommend we leave now. Taewon touched his ear, acknowledging her message, but did not move. I will not run, he said quietly. Velen raised one of its bladed arms. The Council has debated humanity's fate for 3 cycles. We have studied your history. Your species wages war constantly. You nearly destroyed your own world with nuclear weapons. You create artificial intelligence without restraint. You modify your own genetics. Every projection shows that humanity will either conquer this galaxy or destroy it. Trying. That is fear talking, not wisdom, Taewon replied. Yes, we have war in our history. So does every species. Yes, we develop technology rapidly. That is not a crime. You judge us for what we might do, not for what we have done. Another alien stood, this one resembling a floating jellyfish filled with glowing gas. Your species attacked the Pelvar mining colony last year. 30 beings died. That was a rogue militia group, Taewon said firmly. They were hunted down by Earth's own forces and brought to justice. We offered reparations. We offered apologies. One criminal group does not represent all of humanity. Velen's eyes, all 6 of them, fixed on the human ambassador. The Council invokes ancient law, the culling decree written 10,000 years ago, when the Vorlex horde threatened all civilized life. It states that when an Envoy species presents an existential threat, the Envoy may be executed to demonstrate the consequences of hostile action. The chamber went silent. Captain Park felt ice flood her veins. No, she whispered, they cannot be serious. Taewon stood very still. The culling decree has not been used in 6,000 years. It was created for species that actually attack the Council. We have done no such thing. You are a threat waiting to happen, Velen said. The vote will now commence. Lights appeared above each Council member's position. Red for Execution, blue for mercy. The lights began to flicker on, one by one. Red, red, blue, red, red. The pattern continued. Captain Park was already moving, grabbing her soldiers. Get to the ambassador now. They ran through the corridors of the station, but Council security forces blocked their path. Armored beings with energy weapons surrounded the small human group. You will stand down, a voice commanded. Through a translator, this is Council law. We have, we do, we have, we have. We have, we have, we have, we have, we. Park tried to fight through, but there were too many. She watched on her communicator screen as the final vote came in. 28 red lights, 12 blue lights. The execution was approved. Taewon looked up at the observation gallery, even though he could not see. Through the darkened glass, he knew Park was there. He smiled slightly and nodded. Tell Earth, he said clearly, knowing that message was being recorded. Tell them I am proud to be human. Tell them not to give up. Tell them to be strong. Velen gestured and two massive security guards approached Taewon. They forced him to his knees. The chamber's main screen activated, broadcasting to every council world. This was meant to be a lesson, a warning for crimes that will be committed, for threats not yet realized, but certain to come. This envoy is found guilty, Velen announced. Let this be message to humanity. Submit to council authority or face extinction. One of the guards raised a weapon, a device that hummed with stored energy. Taewon closed his eyes, thinking of Earth, of his wife, of the blue skies he would never see again. He did not beg, he did not cry. He remained silent and dignified until the end. The weapon discharged. Ambassador Taewon Kim, first human to address the Galactic Council, died on alien soil for the crime of defending his species' right to exist. Captain Park screamed in rage, trying to break through the guards, but it was too late. The deed was done. The message was sent. She looked at the screen at the alien leaders, who seemed satisfied with their decision, and made a silent promise. They would regret this. Earth would make certain of it. The council expected fear. They expected submission. They had no idea what was coming. Transmission reached Earth 14 hours after Ambassador Taewon Kim's execution. Every screen on the planet showed the same image, their envoy kneeling before alien judges, murdered for speaking truth. The world stopped. Factories went quiet. Traffic halted. 10 billion humans watched in collective horror and rage. President Dawn sat in the Situation Room beneath Geneva, surrounded by her military commanders and advisors. She had watched the transmission 3 times, her face carved from stone. When it finished, she spoke one word: Admiral. Jian Li already had his tablet open, fingers moving across the screen. Operation Reckoning protocols are activated. All fleet assets are moving to designated positions. Communications blackout is in effect. The galaxy will hear nothing from us for 72 hours. What about our civilians in council space? Someone asked. Captain Park's ship made it out. She is organizing evacuations through back channels. We have approximately 15,000 humans on various council worlds. Most are scientists and trade workers. They are being extracted quietly. President Song nodded, and our response. Admiral Lee stood and activated the main display. It showed a map of local space with hundreds of points of light representing human and alien positions. Madame President, the Council thinks we are a young species with a small fleet. They have no idea what we actually built. He pressed another button in the map. Transformed, new markers appeared. Hundreds of them scattered throughout human space and beyond. These are our hidden assets, shipyards that officially do not exist. Weapons platforms disguised as mining stations, stealth ships that have been mapping Council territory for 20 years. We have been preparing for this day since we first met the Council and realized they feared us. Dr. Hun Woo Nam, Director of Advanced Weapons Research, cleared his throat. Our technology development has been intentionally understated. The ships we show the Council are generation-old designs. What we actually fielded is decades ahead. Our railgun velocities are 3 times what the Council believes. Our targeting systems are fully integrated. Our stealth technology makes our ships invisible to their sensors. President Song looked around the room. They executed our ambassador because they feared what humanity might become. I want to show them what humanity is when we are angry, but I do not want genocide. I want precision. I want them to understand they made a terrible mistake. Admiral Lee smiled grimly. The operation is designed for exactly that. Madame President, we strike 40 military targets simultaneously. Not home worlds, not civilian centers. Shipyards, fleet bases, weapons platforms. We their ability to make war, but we do not harm their people. We prove we are better than they think we are. How long until we are ready? 68 hours. Every ship is moving into position as we speak. The Council has no idea we are coming across human space. The mobilization was happening with practiced efficiency. Hidden doors opened on asteroids, revealing massive warships. Civilian transport ships suddenly activated. Military transponders and loaded weapons. Mining stations detached. Sections that transformed into missile platforms. Humanity had prepared for 30 years for the possibility that first contact would go wrong. Now that preparation would be tested. Commander Young Choi stood on the bridge of the stealth carrier, time silent. Thunder asterisk, watching his crew work. His ship was one of 12 that the Council did not know existed. They had been built in the darkness beyond Pluto, assembled in secret, powered by experimental reactors. For 15 years his ship had been mapping Council space, recording defense positions, analyzing their technology. Now all that intelligence would be used. Status report, he ordered. All strike craft are loaded and ready, sir. We are 3 light years from Council Station Valemere. Stealth systems are at full power. They do not see us. Good, hold position. We wait for the Admiral's signal. On Earth, people gathered in the streets. Memorials appeared for Ambassador Kim. His face was projected onto buildings. His final words were repeated like a prayer. Tell them to be strong and humanity would be. The morning was real, but so was the anger. In the Council chamber, High Arbiter Velthon was satisfied. The humans have gone quiet. They accept their place. The threat is neutralized. A junior counselor, a small mammalian creature from a peaceful world, spoke hesitantly. High Arbiter, is it not strange that all human ships have disappeared from tracking? Their transponders are offline. Velen waved a dismissive arm. They are afraid. They are hiding. This is natural. When they emerge they will be submissive. The culling decree has worked as intended, but some council members were not so confident. The Pelvar representative, whose colony had been attacked by human renegades, had also fought beside human soldiers who helped bring the criminals to justice. "I have seen humans in battle," she said. "Quietly, they do not hide when afraid. They attack. This silence worries me." "You worry too much," Velen replied. "They are barely into space. What can they do against the combined might of 40 worlds?" No one had an answer. They would find out soon enough. Admiral Lee stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Times. Indomitable Asterisk, the flagship of Earth's United Defense Fleet. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of every human ship, 300 warships spread across 40 different systems, thousands of strike craft, hundreds of support vessels. The largest military operation in human history. 72 hours have passed, Admiral, his communications officer reported. Lee nodded. "Send the signal, all ships. Execute Operation Reckoning. Show them what humanity can do." The message flashed across space at faster than light speeds carried by quantum communicators. In 40 systems simultaneously, human ships appeared out of nowhere, dropping their stealth fields. Galaxy silence was about to end with thunder. The attack began at exactly 6,000 universal time across 40 star systems. Council military commanders woke to alarms they had never heard before. Impossible contacts appeared on sensors. Human ships, dozens of them emerging from stealth with weapons already locked on target. Captain Yun Si hand commanded the destroyer Times. Phantom Protocol Times at the Krillin shipyards, the Council's largest military construction facility. Her ship was small compared to the massive orbital factories, but it carried weapons the Council had never imagined. Humans possessed. Target locks confirmed, her weapons officer reported. 16 shipyards, 42 defense platforms, 63 warships under construction. Fire, Unio said calmly. The rail guns spoke with electromagnetic fury. Tungsten projectiles accelerated to 3% of light speed, crossing the distance to targets in seconds. The kinetic energy was devastating. The first shipyard exploded in a flower of flame and metal, then the second, then the third. Defense platforms tried to return fire, but human AI systems had already predicted their targeting solutions. Counter measures deployed automatically. Not a single shot touched the human ships. Plasma lance batteries fire. Beams of superheated matter carved through Council warships like a knife. Through paper, ships that had been under construction for years died before they could activate their shields. In 7 minutes, the Krillin shipyard complex went from the pride of their fleet to scattered debris. Similar scenes played out across 40 systems. At the Velmer Fleet Base, 8 human cruisers appeared and methodically destroyed every military vessel in orbit. At the Torskin weapons platform, a human dreadnought demonstrated the power gap by taking the station's entire defensive fire on its shields without damage, then disabling the platform with surgical strikes that left the crew alive but helpless. Diplomat Bo Ration had been Ambassador Kim's deputy. Now she coordinated from a transport ship as it jumped from system to system, evacuating human civilians she had worked with. These alien species made friends among them. It broke her heart to see the destruction, even though she understood its necessity. Status report, she called. Out, we have extracted 8,000 humans so far, 7,000 more are waiting at designated pickup points, no casualties. Yet the Council military is too busy dealing with our fleet to notice civilian movements. Bora nodded. Good. Continue evacuations and monitor civilian casualties on their side if any of our ships harm non-combatants. I want to know immediately. Yes, ma'am. So far, Admiral Lee's forces are following the rules of engagement perfectly, only military targets, 0 civilian casualties reported. This was the crucial difference. The Council had executed a diplomat to send a message. Humanity was destroying military assets, but protecting lives. The contrast would not be lost on the galaxy. On the Council world of Paxium, General Seung Ho Yang led a ground force extraction of human scientists from a research facility. Council security forces tried to prevent them from leaving, but human soldiers were equipped with powered armor and weapons decades ahead of what the Council expected. Stand aside, Yang ordered through his translator. We are retrieving our people. We have no quarrel with you personally. Do not make us go through you. The Council security captain, a reptilian being named Scar, looked at the humans in their intimidating armor and made a smart choice. He lowered his weapon. Take your people and go. This was not our decision. Yang nodded with respect. Thank you for being reasonable. The humans collected their scientists and left without firing a shot. This too would be remembered. At Council Station Velmir, the heart of Galactic government, High Arbiter Velthun watched the reports flood in with growing horror. 40 systems under attack, entire fleets crippled, shipyards destroyed, and not one human ship had been damaged. The technology gap was not what they had believed. Humanity had been hiding its true capabilities. How is this possible? Velen demanded. Our intelligence said they had 50 warships total. Where did 300 come from? The intelligence officer, a floating creature that communicated through light pulses, flickered nervously. They deceived us, High Orbiter. They must have been building in secret for decades, and their weapons technology is far beyond our estimates. Their ships are simply better than ours. Send all available fleets to counterattack. We cannot let this stand. High Arbiter, our fleets are scattered and under attack. It would take weeks to organize a counterattack, and we do not know where their home world defenses are. Attacking Earth could be suicide. Quote, Velen felt fear for the first time in its long life. What do they want? Are they going to attack our home worlds, kill our civilians? No transmissions yet, High Arbiter. They strike and then vanish back into stealth, but they are not targeting civilians, only military assets. It is precise, controlled, almost like they are making a point. The point was being made loud and clear. The galaxy was learning that humanity could destroy the Council's military power, but chose to limit the violence. This was not a species out of control. This was a species showing enormous restraint while demonstrating overwhelming capability. Captain Yoon received new orders on her command screen. All ships Phase 2 proceed to Council Station Velmir. Prepare for message broadcast. The Times Phantom protocol times engaged. It's faster than light drive and disappeared from the Krillin system. Behind it, defense stations burned and shipyard wreckage tumbled through space. The message had been delivered. Now it was time to explain what the message meant. 17 minutes after the attacks began, they ended just as suddenly. Human ships vanished back into stealth. The Council military counted their losses and found them catastrophic. 40% of their total military capability had been destroyed in a single coordinated strike, and humanity had done it with such precision that not one civilian had died. In command centers across Council space, military leaders looked at the tactical analyses and reached the same conclusion. If humanity had wanted to destroy entire worlds they could have, the fact that they chose not to was more terrifying than if they had. It meant humanity was not acting from blind rage. They were angry, yes, but they were also controlled, disciplined, professional. This was not a young species striking out wildly. This was a military power that had been preparing for war since the day they reached the stars, and now that war had come, they were proving to be very, very good at it. Admiral Lee reviewed the strike reports from all 40 systems. 0 human casualties. 0 civilian casualties on the Council side. Military objectives achieved at 97% effectiveness. It was the most successful military operation in human history. Send a message to President Song, he ordered. The Council thought they had taught humanity a lesson by executing Ambassador Kim. Now humanity would teach the Council what it meant to awaken a sleeping giant. Admiral Jahan Lee's fleet emerged from faster than light travel at the edge of the Velmir system. 100 human warships arranged themselves in a sphere around the planet and its orbital station. The Council's seat of government was now surrounded. Open a channel to the station, Lee ordered. All frequencies. I want every being in Council space to hear this. The communications officer worked quickly. Channel open. Admiral, you are broadcasting. Channel. Lee stood straight, his uniform crisp, his expression hard as iron. This is Admiral Jian Lee of the Earth United Defense Fleet. 72 hours ago, you executed our ambassador for the crime of defending his people. You invoked an ancient law designed for actual threats and used it against a man seeking peace. You thought this would frighten us into submission. You were wrong. On the Council station, High Arbiter Velthon watched the broadcast with the other Council members. Around them, defense systems were activating, but everyone could see the human fleet on the monitors. The numbers were overwhelming. Lee continued speaking. In the past 17 minutes, we have destroyed 40% of your military capability across 40 star systems. We did this with precision. We harmed no civilians. We made our point. Now we will make our demand. You will surrender. High Arbiter Velthon and the 12 Council members who voted for Ambassador Kim's execution, they will face human justice. For the murder of our envoy, you have 1 hour to comply. Velen's mandibles clicked in anger. This is outrageous. We are the Galactic Council. We do not answer to a single species, especially not one that has been in space for less than a century. The Pelvar representative, a mammalian being named Kessa, spoke quietly. High Orbiter, they just destroyed 40 military installations in 17 minutes. Perhaps we should consider their demand seriously. Never. This station has the most powerful shields in Council space. Our defense platforms are state-of-the-art. They cannot breach our Defenses, we are safe here, but Kessa noticed something that Velen did not. The human fleet was not moving into attack position, they were simply waiting like they knew something. The council did not. The hour passed. No response came from the council. Admiral Lee nodded to his tactical officer. Send in the colonel. Colonel Huan Kang stood in the assault bay of the stealth ship times Ghost Blade. Asterisk checking her equipment 1. Final time, around her 300 special forces soldiers prepared for the most dangerous mission of their careers. They wore black armor that seemed to absorb light itself. Their weapons were compact but deadly. Their faces were calm and focused. Remember the rules of engagement, Kang said over the team channel. Military personnel who resist are valid targets. Anyone who surrenders is to be treated as a prisoner of war. Civilians and support staff are not to be harmed. Our mission is to capture the council leadership, not to massacre station personnel. We are professionals. Act like it. Yes, Colonel, came the unified response. The Times Ghost Blade Times activated its experimental phase. Shift technology. The ship did not simply become invisible to sensors, it shifted slightly out of normal space, allowing it to pass through solid matter like a ghost. It was technology the council did not know was possible. Another secret humanity had kept. The ship glided through the station's shields as if they were not there. It materialized inside the main docking bay, its cloak dropping as assault ramps lowered. Colonel Kang led her soldiers out at a run. Alarms blared. Immediately, council security forces rushed to respond, but they were trained for criminal incidents and diplomatic emergencies, not military assault. Human special forces moved through the station with devastating efficiency. Flashbang grenades disoriented defenders. Stun weapons dropped security personnel without killing them. Doors that should have been locked were bypassed by human combat hackers. In seconds, a group of council guards tried to set up a defensive position in a corridor. Kang gave them one chance. Drop your weapons. You have fought bravely, but this fight is over. Surrender and you will not be harmed. The security captain, the same Scar who had let General Yang's people leave peacefully, recognized the futility. Stand down, he ordered his troops. We cannot win this, Kang nodded with respect as they laid down their weapons. Smart choice. Medical teams will check you for injuries. You fought with honor. The assault continued deeper into the station. Human soldiers moved in coordinated teams, clearing sections with the precision of a surgical instrument. Station personnel who did not resist were simply moved to safe areas and told to stay put. Only those who actively fought back were stunned and restrained. Within 20 minutes, Colonel Kang's team reached the council chamber. The massive doors were sealed and protected by the station's best security forces. Kang planted shaped charges on the hinges. Clear the blast zone. Breaching in 3, 2, 1. The explosion was controlled but powerful. The doors fell inward. Human soldiers poured through, weapons raised. Council members were there, surrounded by their personal guards. High Arbiter Velthon stood at the center, holding what looked like a ceremonial weapon. Surrender, Kang ordered. You have nowhere to go. Your station is under our control. Come peacefully or we will take you by force. Velen's voice was filled with desperation. You do not understand. The culling decree exists for a reason. We have seen This pattern before, species like yours. Aggressive and expansionist always. Follow the same path, you conquer, you enslave, you destroy. We were trying to prevent a greater catastrophe by murdering a diplomat, Kang replied, by judging us for crimes we have not committed. You created the catastrophe. You feared. One of aides, a young council staffer named Pira, stepped forward with shaking limbs. Please, I was there when they voted. I tried to tell them this would happen. I tried to warn them that humans would not simply submit. But the old laws, the old fears, they were too strong. Kang looked at the young aide with sympathy. Then you have nothing to fear from us. Stand aside. Pira moved away from the council members. Several guards followed, laying down their weapons. They had seen enough to know that resistance would only get them killed. For leaders who had made a terrible mistake, Velen looked around at the deserting guards, at the human soldiers who had breached defenses, thought impregnable at the reality of the situation. If we surrender, what happens to us? You face trial, Kang said. Human justice, not council law. You murdered one of ours, you answer for it, but you will get a trial, you will get due process. We are not you. We do not execute envoys without evidence of actual crimes. Admiral Lee's voice came through on the station-wide communication system. Council Station Velmir, this is Admiral Lee. Your station is now under human control. The council leadership is in custody. All station personnel are to remain calm and follow the instructions of Earth military forces. You will not be harmed if you do not resist. This occupation is temporary and targets only those responsible for Ambassador Kim's murder in the council chamber. High Arbiter Velthon finally lowered its ceremonial weapon. I surrender, but no. This, humans, you have proven today that you are everything we feared you would be. Powerful. Colonel Kang shook her head. No, we have proven that we are dangerous when provoked, but disciplined enough not to slaughter you all. That is the difference you failed to see, President. Dawn arrived at Council Station Velmir 3 days after its capture. Her shuttle passed through the human fleet that still surrounded the station, a constant reminder of the military power now backing Earth's diplomatic position. She wore formal attire, not a military uniform. This was not about conquest. It was about justice and the future. The council chamber had been cleaned and repaired. Human engineers had fixed the damaged doors. The chamber looked much as it had when Ambassador Kim stood here and gave his final speech. But everything had changed. The surviving council members sat in their designated positions, but now human soldiers stood at every entrance. High Arbiter Velthon and the 12 who had voted for Kim and LT, Unk and GTS execution sat in a special section, restrained but unharmed. Their trial would come soon. President Song walked to the center of the chamber, the same place where Kim had stood. She looked around at the alien faces, some fearful, some angry, some simply confused. 3 weeks ago you executed Earth's ambassador, Song began, her voice clear and strong. You did this because you feared what humanity might become. You looked at our history of war and violence and decided we were too dangerous to exist as equals. You were wrong on multiple levels. She pressed a button and holographic displays appeared, showing footage from the human military strikes. First, you underestimated our capability. We allowed you to think we were weaker than we are. That was a strategic choice. We wanted peace, but we prepared for war. That is not aggression, that is wisdom. The displays change showing casualty reports. Second, you assumed our violence was uncontrolled. Look at these numbers: 40. Military installations destroyed, 0. Civilian casualties. We could have destroyed your home worlds. We could have killed billions. We chose not to. That restraint is what you failed to see when you judged our species. One of the council members, a crystalline being from a peaceful world, spoke hesitantly. What happens now? You have the military power to rule the galaxy. Will you make yourselves the new council? Force your will on all species? Song smiled sadly. No, that would make us what you feared. Instead, I propose reformation. Galactic Council will continue, but under new rules. First, the culling decree is abolished. No species will ever again be judged and punished for crimes they have not committed. You will judge actions, not potential. Ambassador Su Jin Yun entered the chamber wearing the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. She had been a military strategist before entering diplomatic service, chosen specifically because Earth needed an ambassador who understood both peace and war. Second, Song continued, the council will be restructured. Newer species will have equal representation. The age of your civilization does not determine your voice in galactic affairs. Earth will take a seat not as a probationary member, but as a full and equal partner. Velen spoke from the prisoner section, its voice bitter. And what of us? What of those who voted for the execution? You will face trial. Song replied, but not human justice alone. We propose a joint tribunal with judges from both human and council species. You will have the right to present a defense. You will have legal representation. You will be treated better than you treated Ambassador Kim, elder historian. Mector, a neutral species representative who had observed galactic affairs for centuries, floated forward. President Song, I have watched many species rise to power. Most who gain military superiority become tyrants. Why should we believe humanity will be different? Song looked at the ancient being with respect. Because we remember what it is like to be the underdog, because we know that power without restraint destroys the one who wields it, because Ambassador Kim taught us that true strength is protecting the weak, not dominating them. We will honor his memory by being better than you feared. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Human lawyers worked alongside council legal experts to ensure fairness. Velen and the others presented their defense, explaining the historical precedent for the culling decree, showing records of aggressive species that had caused galactic catastrophes. They argued they had acted to prevent future suffering. The tribunal listened to all evidence. In the end, they reached a verdict: guilty of wrongful execution, but with consideration for the fear that motivated the action. The sentence was not death, but removal from power and service to the families of those they had wronged. Velen would spend the rest of its life working to promote understanding between species, speaking against the prejudice that had led to Kim and LT Hunk and GT's death. Ambassador Su Jin Yun took her seat at the new council. The chamber had been rearranged to give all species equal positioning. No more elevated platforms for elder species. Everyone on the same level. I speak for Earth, Yun said in her first address. We do not come in conquest, we come in partnership, but let there be no mistake. Humanity will defend itself. We will expand where we choose. We will develop technology as we see fit. We will protect our citizens wherever they are. Any species that threatens humans will face our response. This is not aggression. This is stating clearly what we will and will not tolerate. The Pelvar representative Kessa stood and spoke. There are those among us who still fear humanity. Your military power is undeniable. How do we know you will not use it to dominate us? Yun nodded. Fear is understandable. Trust is earned. We propose a mutual defense pact. Humanity will use its military to protect Council worlds from external threats. In return, you share your scientific knowledge, your cultural wisdom, your centuries of experience in space. We are strong in war. You are strong in other ways. Together, we are stronger than apart. Slowly, the council members began to agree, some reluctantly, some enthusiastically, but all recognizing the reality. The galaxy had changed. Humanity was here to stay, and fighting them would only lead to destruction. Cooperation was the only path forward. On the station, a memorial garden was planted in the observation deck where Ambassador Kim had watched his final moments. Trees from Earth grew alongside plants from 40 council worlds. In the center stood a statue of Kim, hand extended in greeting, forever offering peace. The inscription read, Ambassador Taewon Kim, who died speaking truth to power. They thought his death would silence us. Instead, it taught them to listen. President Song visited the garden before returning to Earth. She stood before the statue for a long moment, thinking about the price of peace. We did what you asked, she whispered. We were strong. We did not give up, and we proved that humanity belongs among the stars, not as conquerors but as equals. Rest well, Ambassador. Your death meant something. Years would pass. The new Galactic Council would face many challenges. Some species would resist the changes. Others would embrace them. Humanity would make mistakes, as all species do. But never again would the Council judge a species for what they might do rather than what they had done. Never again would an envoy be executed for defending their people's right to exist. Ambassador Yun walked through the station, greeting representatives from dozens of worlds. Some still looked at her with fear, others with respect, a few with genuine friendship. She carried Kim's legacy with her, the knowledge that one person speaking truth could change the galaxy, even if it cost them everything. Earth's fleet remained in the system for 6 months, a visible reminder of the consequences of injustice. Then slowly they withdrew to human space, leaving only a small diplomatic guard. The message had been sent and received. Humanity would be peaceful but never helpless, kind but never weak. They would offer friendship with an open hand, but that hand could become a fist if necessary. In the council chamber, Ambassador Yun concluded her first major speech. Let this be the beginning of a new era, not of human dominance but of genuine cooperation. We are all children of different stars, but we share this galaxy. Let us make it better together. Let us honor those who died so that we might learn to live in peace. The chamber erupted in sounds of agreement from 40 different species. It was not perfect. It would never be perfect, but it was a start, and Sometimes a start is all that is needed to change the future.